No, I don't think my family even knows I write in this genre. I've never talked to them about it, and I think we've talked about this before, and you certainly have read it in the books. My dad was a minister for I think 62 years by the time he retired from preaching, and I think they would just lose their minds if they knew I wrote men falling in love with each other, and especially the explicit scenes might just give them an outright heart attack. I mean, it'd just all be over. The whole family would die. I don't mean to laugh, but it would cause mass hysteria. The world would never be the same. Yeah, I hate it. I would love to share the books, especially like with Denise, that you read about in Buckeye. I'm so proud of the work she's done and the life she's lived. And she did it against the advice of a lot of the members of the family. She faced a lot of resistance because they felt like she was sacrificing her happiness for these children that some argued they're not even your children, even though she adopted them and they were her children. Anyway, it's a whole family thing. I guess every family has its own special dysfunction. Um, I, I would love to be able to share it, but I know I can't. So if they know about it, about me writing in this genre, then nobody said anything, and I just don't think they even know. So nope, they haven't read them. Sorry. Wow, you guys are asking sad questions today. So no, no one in the family has met Heath. In fact, I didn't even think anybody in the family knew about Heath. We've been together in September, it'll be 14 years. So, and then we got married 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Sorry, time goes crazy, doesn't it? And I didn't think anybody knew. Now, I was in where my parents live. I was visiting, and my mom decided to go on one of those kicks where she uh, decides to ask if I'm still determined to live this life, which she's 91 years old. We have this conversation every few years. And she brought up, I actually told her in that conversation, I try to be as compassionate as I want them to be toward me. And so I've never really pushed back hard against this conversation. I don't welcome it, but I try not to push them away. But in this conversation, I got frustrated, and I told her, I said, "Look, I've been married for several years. You don't even know that, much less know who the most important person in my life is." And she kind of smiled, that mother knowing smile, and said, "Oh, I know you're married. I've known for years." So apparently, somebody in my family apparently is a Facebook friend on my Facebook page, and I have no idea. I mean, they found out, but they never brought it up. So he would not be welcome for holidays or anything like that. So it's no point in even asking at that point. We do our own thing and we enjoy it, and I spend time with my family. And he and the dogs and our friends, they're my family. So yeah, it's a little sad, and I'm sorry it's that way, but I respect their religious beliefs. I just don't agree with them, and we move forward. I don't know any other way to live and maintain my sanity other than to do that. So this is actually a fun story. Some of you may have heard this. I, I mean, I'd spent the last 20 years working in corporate America. We've talked about that a dozen times. And I had no desire to write a book. I didn't even know I had like a creative side to my brain. I wasn't a numbers guy. I worked with people, but still, it's a very non-creative industry I was in. And so the idea of writing a book or being an author never a dream. In fact, when I was a kid, I absolutely hated reading. Oh my goodness, it was the most boring thing ever. I just didn't understand why somebody would want to be inside reading a book when you could be outside, doing real stuff, like doing stuff. Reading to me was just not doing anything. I got over that. But I guess it was the first year of the pandemic, 2021 or 2020, whatever year that was. And we were probably 5 or 6 months in, and it was like one of my first weekends home from working in the office. And I was clawing the walls. I was so bored. And this story popped in my head that I'd come up with when I was a kid. I was probably 10 or 11. And I don't know why. It just popped in my head, random. And so I decided, because I had nothing better to do, to run into my office and write it down. And I just kept writing. It kept coming to me. I kept remembering the stupid story, and I had dreams about the story. Again, I don't know where it came from. And 3 months later, I had written an 80,000 word manuscript. But I was so new to all this, I didn't even know to call it a manuscript. I just printed it out, set it on my desk, and had no intention of publishing or giving up my career. And I guess it was a couple weeks later, a neighbor came over with her daughter for dinner, and it was the end of the night. The adults are in the kitchen cleaning up the kitchen, and the 12-year-old daughter is in the den. I just assumed watching television, but she had actually found my manuscript and started reading it. And she's one of those power readers. Some of you guys are like this, where you can read really fast. I just was never that guy. And she got about a third of the way through the manuscript before they had to leave for the night. And so she took it with her. And the next day, literally the next day, I get a call from her mom asking, have you written book 2 yet? She wants to know what happens. And that was kind of my light bulb moment of, hey, maybe this is crazy. Maybe I can do something with this writing thing. This is nuts. And that's when I really started thinking about it. And I looked around, ended up signing up for this online school that I'm now a coach for. I coach with selfpublishing.com, and I fell in love with it. And now I'm 2.5, 3 years later, 2.5 years later, I just sent my 17th book to my editor, which just blows my mind. And I left corporate America last November, and I'm a full-time author, and my whole world has changed as a result of that happy accident. And that 12-year-old girl who liked my book. Who knew? So that's how I started, and sort of my why. I know it's kind of accidentally became an author. It's crazy to say. So my birthday is March 12th, and Heath's birthday is in February. He is February 4th. I am actually 3 years older than the little baby, so yes, I guess I'm a cradle robber. What am I going to say? Um, I am 53 as of this recording, and he is 50. I can't believe we have a 5 in front of our number. Oh my gosh. What happened to our 20s? We were just like 30 last week. How does that happen? Anyway, I guess you either get older or you don't, and the don't idea is not good, so we're just going to keep getting older. Oh my goodness, you're making me think about Heath answering this question about whether we practice our scenes. I can't remember the last time we had spicy Asian food, much less spicy anything else. We've been married 13 years, almost 14 years. Are you allowed to have spice after that? Never mind. Um, yeah, so no, we don't practice the scenes, but I think every character and every experience in the books that I write, and I think most authors would tell you this, are drawn from our own personal experience. And if they're not, if there's no connection to our personal experience at all, then those are the scenes that don't feel real to you as a reader. And even some of the fictionalized stuff where I'm completely making the story up, which this next series is like Nashville Spicy, where I just completely make everything up. with the exception of some of the stuff. I try to put myself in those scenes. I try to be kind of like a method actor, become the character, and that infuses some of my real life experience into that character or that scene. And so in that way, I hope it makes it more real for you as you're reading it. So yeah, I think my real life experience, if you think about spicy scenes, the way certain things feel, like I know what feels good to me, and so I try to infuse that. It's a really bad word in that sentence. There's just no way out of this hole. I'm going to quit digging. Yes, sort of. Whatever. We're done with that question.